Next generation is finally here.
And now that all the consoles have been released, we can take a look at the good and the bad.
I'm Christopher Carpenter.
And I am Noah Martin, and we're here with Game & Train.
Today we're going to take a look at the next-gen system, starting with the most recent Xbox One and going all the way back to the Wii U last year.
Now, we're going to be starting with the bad, obviously, because you want to end it on a good note. So first things first is the Xbox One, which we all know came out last week. Now, starting off with the bad, we have our hardware glitches. Now, hardware glitches are something that plagues new technology all the time, and the Xbox One is not an exception. The biggest issue, now keep in mind this is a small percentage of people who got their Xboxes, is the disc reader. You'd put the disc in, it would spin, it would make a wonky sound, and it wouldn't start. The game just wouldn't start for whatever reason. And it's disappointing, and it's annoying to people who waited and put their money into this brand new system. Now this moves into my second biggest problem with the Xbox One, was Microsoft's ridiculously huge charges for quick repairs on the Xbox One.
Microsoft said that they can repair your system in 2 business days. For a price. At $600, they have your system repaired in 2 days and you can play it.
Otherwise, you have to wait 14 business days, which is ridiculous for someone who already gave your company $500. And I actually have a funny story on this. I saw a video of a guy, his Xbox is broken, so he had nothing to lose. So he takes his Xbox and the disc reader side down, and he takes it and he just bangs it on the table like 8 times. Just smashes the thing. Puts it down, pops the disc in, runs. Perfectly. Now I don't recommend you do this, because I was chewing my nails watching this video. But, you know, it might be an option you might want to keep in mind if you got nothing to lose. Now, the next thing to move on, and this is something that was a little disappointing to me, poor game reviews. Very poor game reviews. It's not that they were terrible games, they just weren't that next generation starting big deal kind of games that everyone's talking about.
They're not defining. Like last gen we had such defining games like Halo and all these other things, but this gen it's just the same old thing. The same thing you'd expect, like midway through a gen.
It's early, it's still early, but it was a little disappointing. Now don't get me wrong, these games are beautiful. Rise is beautiful and really shows what the Xbox One can do. Dead Rising 2 is really impressive in just a pure mass. I mean Dead Rising 3, to clarify, is just really impressive in that the mass is an open world and it's impressive, but in the same sense, it wasn't impressive.
Granted, this could all be contributed to, we had some really impressive things around last gen.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be swept away and I just wasn't. Now moving on to the good. Fantastic editing and recording capabilities by the Xbox One for streaming and for YouTube. It's amazing because you can just sit back and just tell your Xbox, hey Xbox, start recording here. And then when you're done, Xbox, stop recording. It's really nice because it makes it super easy for people posting to YouTube and extremely easy for people live streaming to sites like Twitch.
You don't have to pay $300 for something to connect to the back of your TV anymore.
Which was pretty great because that's something I'm looking forward to in the Xbox One. Because just the other day I was looking into something like that for us. And something for the computer, something I could put in my Wii U, something I could put in the Xbox, you know, my Xbox 360. But $400 for the kind that a friend of mine recommended.
And after spending $500 on the Xbox One, do you really want to put in another $400?
No. So Microsoft brilliantly just put it into the system. Next, fun games. Now this kind of contradicts our bad reviews, but these games are extremely fun. I played Dead Rising 3. I played Rise. They were very, very fun games. Little repetitive, you know, not exactly sweep me off my feet, but they were really, really fun. They were very invigorating. They pulled you in really well. And that was due to our next reason for good for the Xbox One, the Kinect.
That Kinect adds a lot of features to games. You can like yell out your commands like in Rise, you can yell fire the catapult and it'll do it. You can tell your units to go take cover and they'll do it. It helps make it so you can traverse through the menu system very quickly and efficiently. You can snap the screen with a slide of your hand. It's just nice.
It's impressive and it's really, really fun. There's nothing like, and I did have a good opportunity to play with this around the other day. It's really, really fun to be sitting there on this huge battlefield and you're just like, fire a volley or fire the catapult, and it just happens. It pulls you in, it's a lot of fun. Alright, now that brings us to our next console, the PlayStation 4. Now starting with the bad, now this is one thing I think is really bad about the PlayStation 4. Chris, on the other hand, does not agree with me on this. When I think of a PlayStation 4, I really look at it as a one-trick pony. In that, although it's a gaming system and it wants to focus on games, I feel like it doesn't focus enough on the other stuff. I mean, if you can make a gaming system and a complete home entertainment, why wouldn't you? Chris, on the other hand...
I personally think that the PlayStation 4 should be a gaming system. That's what this industry is. That's what it started off with. Lately, the gaming companies have just been too focused on involving Twitter or Facebook, and it's just turning the system into an entertainment system. It's not what it's supposed to be, a gaming system.
But if you have the capabilities for looking at the Xbox One, if you have the capabilities for not too much more of a price increase, why wouldn't you also make it an entertainment system? If you could. I mean, why not throw in that extra plus, that extra thing that's going to make people want to buy it? So I feel like it was an opportunity that Sony really overlooked, but that's just my personal opinion on that. Now moving on, we have hardware glitches again for the PlayStation 4.
Granted, this is still a small percentile.
Granted, it's a small percentile, but it's still a decent amount of people who are having these problems. And these, again, aren't small problems that you can just ship a patch out and it's fine. These are internal problems, fans not working, batteries overheating, the whole thing just melting down. It's not good stuff, and we're starting to hear rumors of factory workers putting together PlayStation 4s wrong so that...
Just be rebellious.
So they'll be rebellious to go against Sony. For whatever reason, we're starting to hear that, and if I was a Sony fan, I'm not saying not saying I am. If I was a Sony fan, I would be severely disappointed hearing these sketchy kind of deals going on. So, it's a concern for me. Moving over, I hate to say this, but crappy games. Sincerely crappy games. Looking at Killzone, which was their big selling point for the PlayStation 4. This was their big thing. Beautiful game. They did a great job, it looked good. Didn't play well. It was exactly what you would expect.
Yeah, the review said that it was monotonous. The new features they did add were overused. I'm not saying that it is exactly like this. I haven't played it, but the reviews have not been too favorable about it.
You know, I hadn't played Killzone before. I did have a little bit of time with Killzone, with the new one, but it felt like a shooter. There was nothing that really drew my attention to it that made me really draw it apart from anything else. And with that wraps up the bad for the PlayStation 4. Let's take a look at the good. Awesome controller.
Yeah, they fixed the triggers, which was a big problem I had with the PS3 controller.
I will be the first to say, big thumbs up, huge improvement. Hated the PlayStation 3 controller. That's actually, believe it or not, although a bad reason, was one of the reasons I didn't buy a PlayStation 3. It felt too small. It felt awkward in my hands. I was fumbling with the controls. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Huge improvement. Love the new controller. That's great.
Now the DualShock 4, that fits very comfortably in your hands. It's molded just for them.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Now moving over, stronger hardware. It's a plus all around. When the hardware is not broken, works fantastically. Much stronger hardware. I don't know the exact specs to it, but from what I've been told, what I've understood, it's a tad stronger than the Xbox One, but looking at games like Killzone, it makes it work for it. Beautiful, runs great, great hardware. And this is the last one that a lot of people won't agree with me on. The PlayStation Plus. Now, a lot of people didn't like that now it's not 100% free. They're kind of following what Xbox Live is doing. But I personally feel that PlayStation Plus is very rapidly getting up to what Xbox Live has been doing. Getting up to that popularity that Xbox Live has. And it's because one big reason, free games. Free games. Every couple weeks, I had a friend explain this to me. He explained that every couple weeks, there's game demos, there's new games to try out, there's free games. Now, Xbox Live has done some of this, but I feel like they haven't expanded upon it, and I think Sony really did a good job doing that. Alright, now, that about wraps it up for PlayStation 4, for what we think is good and bad, and we move on to the final console, Nintendo's Wii U. We're going to start off with the bad. Again, this is something I think is bad that Chris does not agree with. There's not enough games. There's just not enough games for me a year later. There's not enough.
I think they have come out with some good games. Nintendo's definitely been trying to get some games out on the system. They've been releasing almost a game every month for the past few months now, and that's pretty impressive for one company.
But it's not enough. It's just not. The games are good. The games are great. But for a year later, I'm concerned, as a Nintendo fan, I'm concerned that where this is going. There's just not enough. Now, a year from now, I think a lot of people will have a Wii U. Because, Smash Bros, X looks amazing. There's a lot of games coming out that it looks good. But right now, at this time period, if I'm someone interested in a Wii U, there's nothing on the playlist, there's nothing that they've come out with that makes me feel obligated to buy one. Moving on, cross-game communication. Cross-game communication I think has been a big issue with Nintendo, that Nintendo missed out on a lot. I can't just pause what I'm doing in one game, start up a party like I can in Xbox Live, talk to my friends and continue and, have fun on different games and continue to chat and converse and all that.
Yeah, while Sony and Microsoft brought this stuff to the table last gen, Nintendo still hasn't been able to get it into their systems. You cannot speak to somebody in a different game. You can only speak to people if the game supports it, not if the system supports it.
Very often, and this is something we find ourselves doing a lot, when we're playing a game that doesn't support communication, we just get up our laptops, start up Skype, and we have to go around it and find these creative ways to talk to each other, when in reality, the system should have it anyway. So that's something that a little bit disappointed me that wasn't in the Wii U. Now lastly, again, this is a disagreement between me and Chris. The eStore. The eStore is not enough. A year later, just like the games, the eStore is just not enough for me. However, you say...
I like the eShop. It's nice. It has a nice music. It's very well set up. It has good reviews to the systems. The menus, I think, is nice.
But is there enough games?
Well, the main page does show a lot of games on it.
But is there, let me ask you this, is there the capacity of games that there were on the Wii eStore?
No, but the Wii's been out for 8 years.
True, but how hard would it be for them to take this Wii eStore, transition it to the Wii U? Because there's tons of classic games I can play on my Wii that I can't play on my Wii U. That baffles me. Why? Why can't I play classic Mario games on my Wii U that I could play on my Wii without going through the virtual console?
Granted, you can always just go into the Wii eShop on the Wii U and play those virtual console games.
Yeah, but I have to then, like I said, I have to go through the Wii virtual console. Which, it's a hassle. Fix it. Moving on. Moving on. The good. There is good.
That gamepad controller, I like that gamepad controller.
That gamepad controller is amazing. It's a huge selling point for the Wii U that I think a lot of people overlook. And the biggest complaint, and I completely disagree with, and you'll hear why in a sec, biggest complaint is it takes you out of the game. That's not true at all. One of the games that we really enjoy playing on our Wii U's is Zombie U. Oh, now that had mixed reviews, but that's besides the point. In Zombie U, when your character is looking through dumpsters, going through bags, the game doesn't stop. You have to look at your gamepad, you go through, you have to glance up at the big screen every once in a while to see if you're about to be attacked. It brings attention, because you can't just pause, step away, think about the situation, come back. Everything's going. It's real time. You have to be quick, you have to be thinking, and the second screen really allows Nintendo to show that and to do that in a lot of their games.
As a lot of naysayers say that the gamepad's going to take away immersion, that gamepad has brought a lot more immersion to Zombie U than the game would have been if it wasn't there.
Very much, as the Kinect has brought, I believe, has brought some immersion to the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Moving on, the great games. The games are fantastic. Although I feel there's not enough, the games that are here, they're great.
Granted, there are some bad ones, really cheap ports by some companies.
Some companies. Anyway, yes, one that came out recently that I'm really excited about, Mario 3D Land.
Oh, that game is gorgeous.
Looks great, plays great, great reviews. I'm gonna make an early prediction. I think it could be a game of the year, quite honestly. A Mario game of the year. It's been a while, but I think they could do it. Moving on, backwards compatibility is a huge thing for the Wii U, and I feel like this is something that Sony and Microsoft really overlooked. It allows for a much larger game library to be embraced by the Wii U. Now, like I said earlier, the Wii U doesn't have enough games for me. However, looking at my huge Wii library, that suddenly opens up and allows me to give some leeway and to, be okay with maybe there not being as much Wii U games as I would like.
And the Wii has some really good games like Xenoblade. Now, Xenoblade was just good.
It was very good. Now, it's not easy to get your hands on a copy now. At least $80 used. So, it's pretty hard, but that backwards compatibility is really great. Also, what you were saying about the eStore is, sure, it's a hassle, but you can go to the Wii eStore through the Wii Virtual Console and go back and get those old games. Go back to the NES, go back to the Super Nintendo, those kind of games, and you can get those on your Wii U. Granted, you have to go to the Wii Virtual Console, but you can still get them. And I think that just about wraps it up for today. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe, check out Game and Train, go check out some cool articles.
And be sure to leave some comments and questions if you have any.
Absolutely. And I think that's going to wrap it up, and we will see you guys next week.